Hello, my name's Forrest Gump. I'm here for a very special cooking meat episode. Mama always told me if I knew something, I had to share it. And my good friend Bubba told me there everything there is to know about shrimping. I may not be a smart man, Ricky, but I do know how to cook some shrimp. Welcome back, meatheads, to another very special tribute episode to one of my very favorite movies and intellectual peer, Forrest Gump. In honor of one of the most influential movies of my childhood, we're gonna be making a shrimp dish, a very easy, classic Creole shrimp. Creole cooking comes from Louisiana, specifically New Orleans, which was first colonized by the French. French Creole cooking. So they brought all their French cooking, all their techniques to New Orleans, and then they started to incorporate, like any French chef does, the local ingredients and started meshing it with local Native American ingredients, some African ingredients that were brought in by the slaves, unfortunately. Cajun cooking are still kind of steeped in like French concepts, but they stem from a group of people called the Acadians. The Acadians originally colonized Canada. I think it was Newfoundland, New Brunswick. It was one of the news, I think. Somewhere in Canada, right? After I think it was the French Indian War, England took over that area of Canada, became an English province. They kicked out all the French people. So the Acadians took a long march from Canada and just traveled and marched all the way down to the swamps of Louisiana. When the Americans took New Orleans over in the Louisiana Purchase, it wasn't like we kicked out all the French and changed everything around and blah, 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 blah. Just kind of stayed its own culture and we just started becoming more Americanized. Acadians were kicked out and had to travel thousands of miles until they found a place in the swamps of Louisiana to live. Through the generations that traveled, basic knowledge of cooking and stuff kind of formed, had the swamps. They didn't have their own city or cultures or whatever. They just started using what they had and developed their own distinct style of cuisine. So if you are a classic French chef and you watch a Cajun chef do his thing, you're gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? They roast the vegetables a lot more. It's deeper flavors, a lot spicier. They usually don't use tomatoes. So when you see like a gumbo with tomatoes in it, a Creole gumbo, if you see a gumbo that's no tomatoes, really thick and dark, that's really spicy, that's like a Cajun one. Creole will use a light roux, a butter roux. A Cajun gumbo would be like a super dark, they call it a burnt roux, but it's not burnt. It's just a very dark roux. That is one of the techniques that I have incorporated into my cooking. When I trained in Louisiana, I took some of that Cajun technique of really pushing the vegetables and roasting it and incorporated it into my style of cooking. We're not doing anything Cajun, we're doing Creole. So to show you the difference, we're gonna have some tomatoes, it's gonna be a little lighter, and then we're gonna pour it over better rice, and we're gonna have a great fucking time doing it. Like my hero once said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know when you gotta cook some shrimp. So let's get cooking. With Cajun and Creole cooking, the mirepoix, or the vegetable base, is the same. Equal parts celery, onion, and bell pepper. In French cooking, the mirepoix is carrots, celery, and onions. So they swapped out bell peppers, something from the Americas. So we're just gonna give a small dice on all these things. We'll chop them up real fast and save these for something. I just like to split celery down the middle as much as I can. So we're gonna try and cut everything about this size. Doesn't have to be perfect. Bell peppers, we're gonna cut the tops off, the bottoms off like that. This is the easiest way to dissect a bell pepper. Just kind of roll it out on itself. All the guts out in one fell swoop. Just like how Forrest Gump and Bubba took out the Viet Cong in one fell swoop. Again, we're gonna get these in even, about the same size as the celery and the onion. All right, so we have equal parts celery, onion, and bell pepper. That is the holy trinity of Cajun and Creole cooking. Now, we're gonna chop up some garlic to mix in with this, and then we're gonna start to saute that down and get our stuff cooking. We're trying to slice these up as best we can. All chopped up. Next, we're gonna drop a big old chunk of butter into our warm pan. It's gonna melt pretty fast. Creole shrimp, if you were doing it like a Cajun version, that's shrimp etouffee. That's what they call that. So it's a different dish, and if I was doing something like that, I'd probably use some sort of fat, like duck fat. Since it's Creole, we're gonna use butter, French. I'm gonna throw it all in there at the same time. Get that cooking down. It was on low. I always kind of start things off on low so I can kind of add things as I'm cooking. Once everything's in that I want, I can turn it back up to high. That way it just kind of prevents me from burning stuff. All right, so we're gonna add a little salt just to our vegetables because we're using unsalted butter. Just a general PSA, never let another person put their salt in your butter. Since this is our final episode of season 3, we just wanted to give one more desperate plea for any sort of corporate sponsorship. Bubba Gump Shrimp, huh? We've actually already been there and given you guys a review, so I'm practically best friends with Tom Hanks. I know he's one of the owners. You know, maybe we can start just calling me Chef Gump, and I'll just, make appearances. I've got a couple of great menu items we could add. Maybe I become the chef to Bubba Gump's like Guy Fieri, Lord and Savior of the kitchen, is to Fridays. I'm just saying. Sometimes I miss my friend Bubba. I gotta find Bubba. Fucking Viet Cong got him. Now that this is kind of getting cooked down a little bit, the next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little sausage. Hot smoked sausage. This isn't a necessary part of the recipe. This is an optional part of the recipe. But any chance I have to put more meat in things, I'm gonna take it. Just like Jenny. Nice big old rounds. We'll throw that in there. I want to throw it in there now to render out the fat a little bit, kind of get a little bit of that shit stuck to the bottom of the pan so we can deglaze it and mix it into our Creole shrimp. Same reason we're going to add the bay leaves, just to kind of bring out a little more flavor out of them before we deglaze. Longtime fans of the show know that me and Forrest Gump, we both hate tomatoes. It would not be Creole shrimp without tomatoes. So just like when we did chili, and if you haven't seen the chili episode, you got to go back and watch it. I play a mean set on the spoons. We're going to add some tomatoes to it just because the dish needs it. I'm going to eat around them though. All right, so look, we're getting some really good color. We're starting to brown. Sausages are starting to get the fat rendered out a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of tomato with the juices. Oh, and diced tomatoes, you can use fresh tomatoes, kind of whatever you want. It just needs a little tomatoes. If I'm gonna put a tomato in it, I like fire roasted tomatoes because I like the smokiness to it. I like the flavor of it, but I'm still gonna eat around it. Gonna get it on low. We're gonna kind of let it stew together, and now we're gonna start to give it some seasoning. If you don't wanna make your own Cajun Creole seasoning, I always recommend checking out Stale Cracker. He makes a pre-made one. He makes a fire one that's spicy and a milder one that's not spicy. Stale Cracker is awesome. Check out his channel if you want some really true Cajun recipes and some Creole stuff too. But today for this, I think we're gonna make our own while this kind of stews out. If you don't wanna make your own, please check out Stale Cracker. Good stuff. And Stale Cracker, if you see this, please check your DMs because I've been begging for a collab since Thanksgiving. So for Cajun seasoning, this is the way I learned to do it. This isn't mine. This is just the way I learned to do it. And this is the way I like it. So we're gonna do 2 parts of salt. 2 parts of salt, wait. We're gonna do 1 part each of garlic powder, onion powder. And this is where I think is a little bit of a variance, mustard powder. I think this is just one thing that I do that's a little differently than most of them. We're gonna do a 1/2 part of oregano. 1/2 part. We're gonna do a 1/4 part of cayenne pepper. If I was doing like a Cajun etouffee, I would probably make it a little bit spicier, but we're just gonna add a touch of heat to it, so right there. We're gonna add 3 parts of paprika. 1, 2, 3. And the paprika is what gives the Cajun seasoning that reddish, blackened look to it. 1 part black pepper. All right, there we go. Some people put a little sugar in there, totally fine. I've seen coriander seed in there, ground coriander seed. Pretty basic Cajun seasoning. I mean, pretty dang close. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of seasoning to it. Not a ton, we're not going crazy with the seasoning. Some people do deglaze it with like a dry white wine, not a sweet wine, you want a dry wine, or like a cooking wine. I'm not gonna do that, it's not necessary. Very last touch for this is we're gonna add a touch of flour to complete our Creole roux. And that'll just help thicken the end product. Turn it down a little bit, sprinkle some in there, just to kind of help absorb all that and thicken it up. Nice. We got this going, nice and thick, nice and delicious. Season, not too crazy, a little season. So we're gonna add a little chicken stock, all right? Just a touch of chicken stock to kind of bring it all together. You can add water if you really want to, but I would recommend seasoning your water a little more. So I probably added about 1 cup of chicken stock to that. I'm gonna bring this to a boil. We're gonna turn it down, let it stew for a little bit, and make some white rice, just some plain white rice to go with it. And by the time we're done with the white rice, shrimp Creole should be ready, and we'll have a delicious shrimp lunch, just like all my shrimp in boat. Nice and bubbly. Move this off to the side on the lower burner. Let that guy reduce for about 20 minutes. We've made white rice on the show before. Think about how many countries eat white rice. Think about how many different cities are in those countries that eat white rice. Think about how many people are making white rice in those cities, in those countries that make white rice. It's crazy, all right? This is how I do it. If you don't like it, you can lick my fucking balls. My favorite way to make rice, I learned how to do it in Puerto Rico, so I'm just doing it that way. I'm sure there's lots of ways. You make white rice however you want to make it. Leave me alone. This is called Tex-Matty. It's white rice from Texas. I thought I'd use good old American rice for a classic American Creole dish. 2 parts water to 1 part rice. 2 Christmas Grouch mugs of water. Special cameo by the Christmas Grouch. Add some salt. Good salt. Don't be afraid of salt, you guys. It's so good for you. It's an essential mineral. Neil deGrasse Fed Bison taught me that salt, or sodium, is a mineral that is naturally produced on Earth that is not naturally produced in our bodies. And we need it to survive. So please just don't be afraid of salt. Add your salt. If you add too much salt, you just pee it out, all right? Don't worry about your sodium levels. It's a good thing. If you're still feeling the holiday spirit all these months later, please go back and check out our very special Christmas episode with a very special cameo. Tastes like cigarettes. All right, so we got a hard boil on our water. We're gonna add our 1 part of rice into the mix. Then we're going to give it a nice little stir one time to kind of get the rice evenly distributed on the bottom of the pan. Now we are not gonna touch it until the water is reduced down to the rice level. Do not touch the rice. One interesting thing about Cajun and Creole cooking, it is one of the few American cuisines that has rice. You know what I mean? Think about your side dishes. Side of corn, potatoes, grits, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes. The list goes on and on. That's a typical American side dish. Louisiana, that part of the South, Louisiana, I think a little bit of Mississippi, that's actually one of the few rice growing regions in the United States. So rice, you see a lot of rice incorporated into Cajun and Creole cooking. One of the other things that kind of gives it a unique aspect to American style cooking. I'm pretty sure the only 2 types of cuisine that are considered distinctly American are Cajun cooking, because of how much transformation it's gone from French Canadian cooking all the way down to Southern cooking or whatever. The other one is American style barbecue. Those 2 things are not based really in, I mean, there's some elements of French cooking and Cajun cooking, obviously. It's been so bastardized that it's now considered its own distinct cuisine. American Creole is still considered kind of like a subset of French cuisine. So those 2 things kind of make it unique, but still a lot of elements. Creole, I think, is really cool because they still have a lot of unique elements to their cuisine that you don't find in regular American cooking. All right, so I'm pretty sure they like to eat rice down in Greenbow, Alabama. Hey, remember that time Jenny played the guitar naked? Huge influence on me. Let's just say, after that, I was running. All right, with the water's almost down, still gonna give it a few more minutes. By the way, Ricky, this is also craft services today. We're just having a little issue with the budget. Don't worry, just a little issue. It's crazy how much a cardboard cutout of Macho Man Randy Savage costs in 2024. We just weren't living in Gump's America yet. It is Gump's America now. I must have had me about 15 Dr. Peppers. Sometimes when I look at the numbers, it makes me want to pray that I can turn into a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from the debt that we're accruing. Unfortunately though, we shot that bird and we ate it in one of our earlier episodes. Please check out the bird breast episode where we try and figure out what the hell we shot and ate. But we had to get in there and get our hands dirty and prove to the meatheads that we can survive on our own. Because soon, we might have to be hunting for our own food and possibly living in the woods on the run from our debtors. All right, so the rice, the water's all the way reduced. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little, what I call the rice mountain. Kind of scoop everything here in the middle. Gonna get everything scraped off the sides. Put this on, and we're gonna put the heat on the lowest possible setting. I'm gonna let it do its thing. Ricky, remember that thing I said earlier about the running in the woods and the dead? I don't think we need to put that in there. Okay, stop, Ricky. Just turn the camera off for a second. We need to have a serious talk about the budget, okay? I know we're kind of making jokes, but I don't want to put that in there and worry the meatheads because we actually are in a little bit of trouble. We've spent almost 240 million won, and we've only made about 10 cents on Facebook, okay? So let's just why don't we try to keep this positive because this might be the last show we do. So we'll move on. No more talking about the debt. Let's focus on the food. Everything's gonna be fine, okay? All right, Pinky promised me, dude. We're gonna make it, okay? Fucking Pinky promised me, dude. Fucking do it. That's for life. I'm gonna hold you to it, okay? All right. All right, meatheads, things are going great. Our rice is on its lowest setting. We're just gonna get it steamed and fluffed up a little bit. We're gonna let it go for about 10-15 minutes. While we're doing that, we're gonna check on our shrimp Creole. No shrimp yet, it's just basically the sauce, just the Creole part. Oh my gosh, look at that. That looks fantastic, you guys. Super rich, oh, it smells too. You can smell the smokiness from the sausage, the smokiness from the tomato. Delicious, bubbly Creole broth. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna taste it, make sure that we don't need to add any seasoning or maybe put a little water if it's too seasoned, which I doubt. Dang, dude, that's pretty dang good. I don't think we need to do anything. I think it's good. If it was Cajun, I'd probably add another half teaspoon of that. It would bring up the heat level a little bit and just kind of like really reinforce that rich flavor. So for Creole, I think this is good. It's got a touch of heat to it, a sweet from the tomatoes. The sauce is kind of smooth and silky from the butter. I think it's gonna work out great. So we're just gonna sit and wait for our rice to get done cooking, plate up our dish, and we'll have a Creole feast for the end of season 3. People don't realize how much getting a haircut like this costs. Looking back, I don't know why I had to buy the exact replica shirt from the movie. All right, meatheads, our rice is just about done. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our shrimp. Peeled and deveined, which means there's no shell and the poop has been taken out, and you take the tails off too. Shrimp takes about 2 minutes tops. So we're gonna throw this in there, stir it around for 2 minutes, let it stew, and then we're gonna kill the heat. All right, so that's all we're gonna do. Incorporate it all in there, give it a nice stir, incorporate it all in there for about 2 minutes. If we had thrown in the shrimp earlier while we're stewing it or whatever, even though it's like stewed shrimp, that shrimp would be so overcooked, you might even go past the point of being like super hard and chewy. It might just start to fall apart. The best way to cook shrimp is very quickly. 2 minutes, you're gonna have a nice, firm, juicy shrimp that's gonna have a great texture to it. 2 minutes. We're gonna kill the heat on the rice because that's done. We'll just let that chill for a second. This is a tough one for me. Bubba gave me this recipe as he was dying in my bare hands on the battlefield. Napalm exploding all around us. Running through the jungle, things biting my ass. The horrors of the war will never leave me. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, so it's been about 2 minutes. Shrimps are looking colorful and delicious. Kill the heat on this guy and let that just chill in its own delicious, delectable juices. Look at that beautiful rice. Rice has just been steamed, so now what we gotta do is gotta fluff it up a little bit. Spoon, fluff it out. I make a great fluffer. If we can make that work somehow for a corporate sponsorship, I'll fluff anybody, anything, anywhere. We're gonna give ourselves a nice bit of rice. We're gonna give ourselves a pretty big portion because cause I don't have anything for dinner. So this is the one meal we're gonna have for the day. We've run out of just about everything else to cook. So also why this has to be the season finale. Friggin' Creole shrimp with the sausage and everything. It's beautiful. We're gonna take a big spoonful. Just put it right on top. Oh my God, amazing. Look at that. We're just gonna garnish it with a little green onion. You can garnish it with either parsley, cilantro if you really want to. I don't think that fits canonically with the whole Cajun thing, but follow your hearts, guys. And there we go. Creole shrimp. If you want to add a little extra, if you want to spice it up, a little Tabasco sauce would work pretty good. A little vinegary hot sauce would work really good for this. All right, let's do it. Let's dig in. Perfectly cooked, all the way cooked, nice and firm. Not too, oh my God. That's gonna be so good. Get a piece of sausage, a little piece of shrimp, big old chunk of rice and all this stuff. Pick out that tomato, because you know. That is delicious. Again, this is Creole, so it's not super spicy, it's kind of mild. The vegetables aren't cooked to the point of really caramelizing and almost roasting. Very soft. That Creole sauce is still very rich. The hot smoked sausage gives it a little bit of fattiness to it, gives it a little bit of depth, adds a layer of heat, but not too much. Oh yeah, the rice just soaks it all up. It's like a porridge, it's so good. For myself, I'd probably add a little hot sauce to this, a little Tabasco, kick things up a bit. There you have it, meatheads. Another great season of cooking meat in the books. What a better way to warm up, to warm your soul, warm your body. Just want to give a very special thank you to everybody who's helped out with the show. As always, Christensen Ranch for providing us the very best beef in Colorado. Please check out christensenranch.com. Don't forget to use the promo code to get 5% off your order. Thank you to Dude IDK Studios for helping to spread the word. Thank you to my mom for lending me the last $500 that we put to the show. And most importantly, thank you to the meatheads. This has been the journey of a lifetime. And I hope somehow, some way, we get to come back and cook for you again. This is Chef Pat signing off. I hope you have a very meaty life. That's it, man. That's it for the books. I'm just gonna take care of one thing and then we'll discuss your pay for the season. All right, sounds good? Let me just do one thing. Enjoy the, hey, eat up.
Dude, Pat? Dude, what are you doing?
Look, Ricky, 240 million won in debt. 240 million won, okay? This is to keep you safe, all right? I can't pay it if they can't catch me. And they can't catch me because I'm the fucking meat guy.
시의 부패?
누구세요?